Alright, what's up guys? Just making this short little watch list video going into the week. We have a lot of tickers on our watch list and we're just going over some potential trade setups, what I'm looking for, and marking out key levels using the options data provided by GammaEdge, our sponsors here. And if y'all guys have any questions, just go ahead and type in the comments or just message me personally. Being very transparent on how I'm getting these levels and what I'm looking for and what indicators I'm using it and how I'm looking at it for these setups. So the first one is QUBT. We see that the gamma condition obviously is call dominated, and we have some key strikes, some net OI specifically in what I'm looking at is stacked here. So we have 1,000 and 1,600. So there's significant change going from this transition. So understand that whenever price is moving into these areas, market makers are constantly have to hedge their position. Just making this very straightforward, the market makers are creating the supply. So we're seeing the supply here using this options data. So we see, and so they're creating the supply, we create the demand. There's three players into this. There's us, the institutions, and the market makers. All we're looking at is areas where price could react aggressively and then going from there. And then understanding the market dynamics and how they're hedging their position. Price rallies, these deltas increase. So what I mean by that is as price moves through this, the gamma is the rate of change of the delta, increasing the delta rapidly. So oftentimes when we're pushing up into this area, market makers sell futures into strength to neutralize. So we don't know how price is going to react to these areas. We could either bounce or we could get a gamma squeeze, right? So market makers generally buy into strength, sell into strength and buy into weakness. Under positive gamma conditions, often stabilizes the market. So anyways, going into this, we marked out 1650 and 17. Usually when I see stacked net OI like this, it's very hard for us to overcome. I kind of look at this as a ledge, and so yeah. And then, so I marked out 1650. Obviously, this isn't our COTMC as it is labeled on our jets, but this isn't our most concentrated out of the money calls, but I'm just labeling this as out of the money call, okay? And then we have our trigger here. So moving past these two levels, we're not only in a positive gamma environment, this is our transition into a positive gamma environment, but we could squeeze to the upside and we could ride this move up into our COTMC, which would be 20. Our expected move is relatively small, but given the price structure, so what I like to do here is, so I'm going to move all 8 drawings, okay? We're going to start from scratch. We're looking at QUBT, quantum computing. So I already marked out 1650 by the options data that I'm looking at, and then we mark out 1700, right? So we want to see price overcome this, and then we want to see, let's see if price transitions into a negative gamma environment. And then I'm looking at, hold on, give me 1 second. So we're looking at price and seeing if we get, how we react to these areas. And I'm marking out a specific trend. So we can see here, I'll mark out my Hakanashi candles. I'm just utilizing this to make a smoother price structure. So we see that price is consolidating a higher time frame or developing some sort of wedge. I don't really need this to be I'm not very tedious about this. I don't need this to be, like exactly, oh, it has to wick here, wick here, wick here. I'm just looking for some higher time frame trend, and that's what we got. I'm looking at price to we're compressing is how I'm looking at it, right? So our next move would be expansion at that point. Just giving the overall price dynamics here. So we get a bullish divergence here. This is oftentimes where we're going to see the relative strength index change its trend here before it does on price. So we see that we got a lower low here on price and a higher low. So this kind of tells us that buyers are actually stepping in here. We can also see this in the price section, given a large wick. But if this was all that we saw, and we saw that the trend was going down, we could expect the trend to change soon, especially as RSI gets above 55. So I kind of look at 60 to 80, buyers are in control. I do not look at, oh, 70 were overbought and 30 were oversold, even though we have these kind of marked out here. I look at it as 60 to 80, buyers are in control. I am not trying to short unless I get some sort of confirmation in terms of a check strike or prices moving into a negative gamma environment of some sort. So going into that, we have our first conviction for our bullish divergence. I value these higher time frames a little bit more. So we're looking at a wick, and then we get a bullish divergence. RSI is, right at 53, above 50, above our moving average. We could go ahead and have some sort of conviction that we might get some sort of breakout out of this trend. And then I'm looking at the 15-minute here. I'm going to go ahead and look at this. And we see that price is above VWAP. So we're not below that. And then last time, price expanded from the bottom of this trend, and then it rejected off of weekly VWAP. Now we did create a bearish divergence here on the 15-minute, but once I see RSI break out of this, so we can easily just do it like this. We can right click, if you guys are new to TradingView, add alert to a trend line, create, and this will alert us whenever RSI moves above our moving average, this trend line, and you kind of give us this, focus our mental eyesights on just breaking above that trend line. That is some sort of confluence. So we're looking for a combination of confluences for our setup, or for my setups is what I'm looking at. So I see, okay, RSI is above our trend line, and validating the bearish divergence, we can take a trade off of this. At this point, it should be outside of the trend line, and then we can go ahead and target these concentrated calls. We know price is going to react here, but we don't know. Oftentimes that it might be some sort of rejection unless buyers are continuously stepping in, creating a gamma squeeze to the upside. But like I said, we don't know how price is going to react here, so we're going to take our entry off of the invalidation of the bearish divergence. We already in a 4-hour bullish divergence, and this hasn't been invalidated, and this is our higher conviction, as well as breaking out of this trend to target these strikes. Okay, and next one is AMD. We kind of had the same thing here. We didn't have the same kind of trend, but we do have 160 and 170. You can see I already marked them out, so getting below 160. I like to think about this as if I am the one that's holding all these calls. So try to read this structure a little bit better. Imagine you are the person that's holding all of these calls, and then price moves past 160, and understanding the market maker dynamics of a gamma squeeze to the downside. So at this point, your deltas have little to no value. They're so far out of the money, and I'm thinking about it as if those were my contracts, I would be selling. So if I held all those, I would be risk off on all those calls, and at that point, the overall positive gamma structure above us would change. So changing the structure entirely, and then we would create new lower lows at that point in price. Okay, how would I know this? Well, price moves past 160, creating a squeeze, it would mark out these lows. So, like I said, the structure here is still on a downtrend, and then we also have our bearish divergence on the 4-hour. Like I said, lots of conviction here, but if RSI claims above this and then validates this bearish divergence, then I'm going ahead and looking at this as buyers are stepping in. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to mark out 40, boom, and then we got, we'll say 25. I think it'd be crazy if we got below that. So 40 to 25, sellers are in control. So every single time, RSI has got down into here, we have moved aggressively, especially down here. It's probably, hold on, let me just go ahead and get rid of this. We don't need this anymore. We got 160, we got our levels marked out. This is the start of our uptrend, right? So we want to see if this is an area where we bounce. Will we bounce at 160? We don't know. But if we do, we can look for, okay, price bounces, boom. Our next thing we can look for is invalidation of bearish divergence. Did we get that? Are we moving above our bull trigger? So these are a lot of things to look for. We see we're creating a set of higher highs, and then we're right at our equal lows. We want to look for maybe on the 15-minute if we can expand and get above VWAP. What is VWAP? VWAP is our volume weight average price. Institutions often trade here because they see this is an area where there is fair value. So obviously they're not going to just keep selling and selling and selling, or buying and buying and buying. They're waiting for price to revert back to VWAP. We are waiting and watching to see how price reacts to VWAP. Are they risking off or risking on? That's all that we're thinking about. And so if if price comes to VWAP and we see some sort of bearish divergence on the smaller time frame, 5-minute, and then let's see, okay, so we can see here we get a bullish divergence and invalidated it, okay? So this is an area, so we expanded outside the Bollinger Bands, and let's see if RSI can get above our moving average right here in the Bollinger Bands and get above VWAP, and then we can go ahead and speculate that they might push price past 165, giving those set of things have already existed. Without VWAP and without our RSI and Bollinger Bands, all we're doing is looking at price, and we don't know how it's going to, we're taking a gamble. It could be 50-50. Like I said, so, market makers are constantly hedging, and we're trying to figure out how they're going to react at those key areas to position ourselves to ride the wave into our next target. And that's all I'm thinking about. So, like I said, we're looking for price to get above VWAP. We want to see RSI maybe in the 5-minute get above our moving average. That'll be our next signal. And then, so I'll mark out, let's see, the 65-minute. Yeah, this is an area where sellers are in control. Unless we move out of this and get back above our moving average, I'll go ahead and look at things a little bit differently. But overall, looking pretty bearish. We might expand down into 160 here. I'm looking to see how price reacts here first before I get any some sort of entry, giving where we're at in the price structure. Next one is Palantir. So I've been watching this one for quite some time. We see Palantir mark out at key levels 180, 150. They're marked out on the chart, 160. This is 160. So we have them marked out on the chart, and we see on the higher time frame, price is compressing. Probably get the same kind of image. It's not as clean on the 4-hour, 15-minute, way cleaner. We'll smooth it out using these different candles. We see some wicks here, Okay, trend is there. We see price compressing. We want to figure out, so we know our next move is expansion. Utilizing the tools that we have in front of us, how is it going to expand? So looking for some sort of divergences. We see in the 4-hour, so Bollinger Bands have widened. This shows us that there's an opportunity, because when Bollinger Bands widen like this, this is where implied volatility has increased. So that's good. We want to capture a move where IV is going to be increased a little bit. So that just means bigger moves, right? So we got compression, we got expansion on the Bollinger Bands. We know a move is fixing to happen here. And then we got our 4-hour. We're looking for some sort of trend. This isn't a divergence, it's just a trend on the RSI. So we want to see, like I said, I'm marking out 40 and I'm marking out 20. Not looking at this as oversold. I'm saying sellers are in control. I do not want to be a buyer down here as long as sellers are in control. So I'm looking for it to continue this trend. Maybe look on the weekly, see if we can identify some sort of divergences. No, we have not. And we can look at the 4-hour. No. Oh, wait a minute. I got the wrong candles on. You can't look at anything with the Heikin-Ashi candles on in terms of divergences. Nothing will be valid. So we get a little bit of smooth trend line here. We see RSIs pushing up. 2-hour, nothing. 15-minute, 5-minute, maybe. So we know VWAP is here. We know that buyers stepped in at VWAP, so this is some sort of risk on. Palantir's always been a bullish stock. I think people are always looking for a discount buy. I think at this point, I'm looking for a break above weekly VWAP, and I'm looking for RSI on the 5-minute to get above the moving average. I would say above 55 is a solid place to get in at on the RSI. And yeah, at that point it would be breaking above this, and I would target our first trigger, and then I would look for our potential targets right here. Maybe target these highs 162 to 165 if you're wanting to swing this. I mean, this has been consolidating since August 22nd, so for over a week now. So I'm looking for a pretty decent move, and this could go either way. So we're looking for setups, like I said. When we go ahead and reset chart view, smooth everything out. Now everything could look a lot differently if RSI broke this trend line, and then I would, expect price to fall through outside of this bottom trend line that we created, and then I would target 150 and see how price reacts here. Probably make my entry at 154, target 150 on the weekly. I'd get out here because we could bounce aggressively. All right, similar thing on coin. So going into coin, we got, we marked out some 330 and 225. So we got 2 weeks out on our expiration. Keep in mind the OI that I'm using is from last week. We had 829 here. We're gonna have new OI updated, at 5:30 in the morning tomorrow. So we're just marking out the key levels. Our transition to positive gamma environment is getting 315. First target's 220. We see 220 here. We have stacked net OI at 6,000. At this point, we're moving to this positive game environment. All these puts are significantly out of the money. Their negative deltas are little to nothing, and this would be wins to our sales to the upside, right? So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. We have levels marked out. We're smoothing out our chart. We're looking for some sort of trend. We get that here. At this point, I see this as compressing price. Next move is expansion. We have our bullish divergence here. We're above 40. So I am looking to see if price will expand. Let's see, weekly. So looking like we're getting a little SR flip on the price structure. If price gets below 300, I'm looking for more downside. So I'm setting my alerts. You can do so by right-clicking, add alert on horizontal line, and this will alert you on your app, and you can go from there. 15-minute reset chart view. Nothing appealing. Yeah, nothing appealing right here. Like I said, same thing with this one in terms of the RSI. We're looking for an expansion. It could be either or. VWAP is going to be our first signal on this. How we react there. Are we moving away from it? Are we moving towards it? Did we reject off of it? We're looking at those kind of things. MSTR. Now, MSTR is one of my favorites for right now. Just considering we got coin, we got MSTR, we got Mara. So there's the reason why these three are on my watch list. We had that big drop on Bitcoin recently. Bitcoin is in this channel to the downside. So we got that, and we have a bullish divergence on the 4 hours. So I extended this trend line. We're in that bullish divergence. We're looking for a possible bounce around this area. As long as RSI stays above that bullish divergence. So if Bitcoin doesn't invalidate that bullish divergence, upside is in play. I'm looking for upside. My bias is upside. I'm looking for a bounce off of a key level, off of a key gamma strike that we marked out. So going to MSTR, I thought it was interesting how next week we have 78,000 calls. This is triple the amount here on the put OI, so I thought that was interesting, and this is on Friday. Given the fact that this OI here is old, but it will update, the gamma structure will update at 0530 tomorrow. So we're going to go ahead, we already marked out our significant levels. Our transition here isn't as smooth. So we obviously see that we're not moving into a positive gamma environment really until we get above, 315? Or sorry, we're not, until we get above 347.50, we're pushing up into a positive gamma environment. But we have stacked net OI here, so we could reject unless we have institutions keep stepping in, force the dealer's hand, and we get some sort of gamma squeeze. That would be nice. So we do know that price has been consolidating. Our next move is expansion. Same thing here, right? I couldn't identify any sort of divergences here, but what I did see was on the weekly, we are at an area on the RSI where price, or the RSI, has buyers have stepped in every single time. So I just drew this trend line on the RSI. Buyers stepped in here, buyers stepped in here. Okay, buyers could step in here. And that goes with the OI increase at these bottoms here on the RSI. So this is just the technical aspect of it, as well as Bitcoin dropping right here. So these are things that I'm looking at. Looking at the 5-minute, seeing if there's some precision entries we could get into. But overall, like I said, the price range is consolidating. Next move is expansion. I would like to see some sort of move outside of the trend line here. Maybe we could target weekly VWAP, take profits there, and then target 350 here. But first entry is going to be a break of this trend. Marvel saw a huge amount of OI increase on this one. Let me see, reset chart view. I got rid of the overall gamma structure on this, but understand that there was just a massive amount of calls and puts. There's a huge amount of OI increase, and I think we didn't identify any sort of divergences here, but RSI was just a little bit oversold, getting outside of our Bollinger Bands, as well as getting on that oversold level. But I would like to see price reclaim back above 65. The reason why is because then at this point we have these in the money puts, but making them out of the money would create some sort of wins to our sales that I'm looking at. 60 I'm thinking is the bottom of the range. So I'm looking to see how price reacts to 60 if we do continue to sell off. Looking for a bounce here, not looking to get anything till I see price either react here, or maybe RSI gets above our moving average, or if price gets above our trigger. So I'm looking for a number of things for the setup here on Marble, but nothing specific. Last but not least, Mara. We have stacked net OI, same structure, similar to the others in terms of the stacked net OI. So we would need to see a significant amount of buying pressure here. Mara has never really made big moves for me historically, but like I said, I am looking for some sort of expansion move. We do have some set of bullish divergences here, and RSI is above 50, so buyers could step in here. There was a large OI crease. There was 100,000 calls added for this specific strike, and this just so happens to be at the same time Bitcoin had that massive drop. So we do have our bear triggers, so getting below this, we'd be moving into our negative gamma environment, pushing these calls significantly out of the money for these weekly contracts. I look at this as some sort of aggressiveness. 1650, I'll be looking at that, and then we could potentially squeeze. We have a similar setup in terms of, price range is not expanding. Overall, it has been really consolidating on the higher time frame. So its expansion is our next move. Looking at the small things like weekly VWAP, make sure price is above that. Is RSI above 50? And how does it react to our key areas, our key checks levels going into this? So those are my setups. These are all on my watch list. If y'all guys want me to send you the charts, post them in the chat, let me know. I'll see you guys later. And, thank you guys for listening.